In this video, I'm going to teach you the trick Poppin' Fresh, and it looks like this. I'm also going to teach you two variations on the trick Poppin' Fresh so that you can build a little Poppin' Fresh combo. The first one allows you to catch the yo-yo on the outside of your yo-yo hand, and then the second one allows you to catch the yo-yo on the outside of your opposite hand, and then when you put them together, you can form a nice combo that kind of goes side to side. The nice thing is that once you learn the techniques of Poppin' Fresh, these other two are not that difficult to learn, so you can put together a really cool trick by just adding a little bit more skill. So when you start this trick, the first thing that you want to do is get into a Mach 5 mount. And if you don't already know the trick Mach 5, you'll definitely want to learn that because a lot of the skills that you need are built upon that particular trick. Like Mach 5, the trick starts with a split bottom mount. And we also have a video that teaches you how to do that. So if you're kind of starting from scratch, that's where you want to go. And then you're going to, like in Mach 5, you're going to pass your opposite hand under the yo-yo, over your yo-yo hand, and then back under the yo-yo. Now for Poppin' Fresh, what you want to do is you want to position your yo-yo hand right in front of the yo-yo, just like this. And all you're really doing is you're going to hop the yo-yo up off the strings, and when it's above both hands, you are going to change the position of your hands just like this. And every time you do it twice, you're right back where you started. And since you're in a Mach 5 mount, you can dismount just like you would from Mach 5 and bring the yo-yo right back to your hand. Now, because of all the hopping and landing on and off strings, it is quite a bit easier to learn if you have a wider yo-yo. Now, the thing is this is kind of like a modern classic trick. So it was actually made when yo-yos were all responsive, so you can totally do it with a responsive yo-yo. You just have to be a little bit more cautious because if you get any slack in the string, of course, your responsive yo-yo will come back. So it is easier to learn on an unresponsive yo-yo. So obviously, Poppin' Fresh, the real part of the trick, once you get into the mount, is just doing the hops. And so this is where most of the tips lie. So the first thing that you want to think about is how do you get the yo-yo to pop up? Most of the time when you're popping yo-yos up, what you're going to do is you're going to pull your hands apart. And that's true with this as well. You pull apart a little bit and then bring your hands together just slightly, and that will allow the yo-yo to go up. But you may also be noticing that I'm raising my hands just a little bit with the yo-yo. And if you do that, what that does is it allows the yo-yo to hover just a little bit more, and that gives you a little bit more time to catch the yo-yo. And if you raise your hands up, then you can also cushion the yo-yo when it lands back down onto the string, which will just give you a little bit more control of the trick. Now, the other thing that you probably noticed by now is that as you hop, it is your yo-yo hand that is always passing over the top of your opposite hand. And that's true every single hop, whether it's going forward or back, it's always your yo-yo hand right on top. Now, when you start working on this trick, if you're having trouble, most likely you are missing either one of the catches as the string goes up into the string or the landing as it goes down into the bottom of the string. And the thing about Poppin' Fresh is that it's all about just keeping the strings aligned. If all the strings are perfectly aligned and the yo-yo is going perfectly straight up and straight down, you simply will hit the strings. And so if you're not hitting the strings, that just means you're not keeping things aligned. So if you think about the position of your hands, the first thing you want to pay attention to is make sure that your fingers are parallel to each other, because if they start to angle off a little bit, then that will twist the strings in kind of a weird way, which will cause you to miss the strings. The other thing that can happen is if the alignment of your fingers gets a little bit off, then you can see instead of the strings being perfectly aligned like this, you can see if they're even just a little bit twisted like that, that can cause everything to go haywire. You should have learned that skill with Mach 5, but you know, it can come into play here as well, especially if as you're doing the hop, they get a little bit off. And that can happen even if you don't think about it, because a lot of people, they're trying to avoid hitting the yo-yo with their hands as they do the trick. And so instead of keeping everything perfectly straight forward and backward, kind of like a machine, they want to avoid the yo-yo, so they go around just a little bit. And if you do that, it's that same problem where your hands get misaligned, then the strings are not aligned, and you're definitely going to run into trouble with that. So really focus on keeping everything straight, and your accuracy is going to go way up. Now, another thing that can happen is maybe you're finding the first part of the trick is really, really easy for you, but the second part is giving you trouble, and that can be tricky because you have to make sure you hit this string and then get everything lined up to hit the landing. If you're having trouble with just the second part of the trick, there's kind of a secret about this trick, is that the second part, you're basically in a split bottom mount. Now, if you start from Mach 5, when you get into that split bottom mount, there will be an extra wrap of string, and that extra wrap actually can make it easier to keep the strings aligned, but you don't need that to do the trick. If you just throw right in to a split bottom mount, and as long as you hit this top string, change the position of your hands, you're totally doing Poppin' Fresh. The only difference is you don't have that extra wrap of string around your finger. So you can use that to just practice the second hop. Just go right into your split bottom mount and then go right into the trick. The other thing that's kind of cool about this, if you start to learn the trick that way, is you can combine it with other tricks that are built on split bottom mount. And so if you want to do some boingy boings and then go right into a Poppin' Fresh, that's really easy to do because you can start Poppin' Fresh from the split bottom mount. So it's not a bad idea to learn it either way, but it's a really nice tip if you're just having a problem with the second hop. Just go right in from your split bottom mount. Once you start to feel confident with Poppin' Fresh, you're ready to start working on the variations that we talked about. So let's start with the variation where the yo-yo is on the outside of your yo-yo hand. And the first thing that you want to note is that it does not start from position 1 from your Mach 5 position. You want to start from position 2, or the position that's basically coming off of your split bottom mount. And so usually you'll do one hop and then you're ready to try. And normally when you hop the yo-yo up, you're going to push your yo-yo hand into this string right here, and that's how the trick works. But for this particular variation, you actually want to move your hand right around that string and point it in the opposite direction. And then to get the yo-yo back into your basic mount, you just undo that motion and you're right back where you started. When you're working on this trick, one thing that you may have noticed that I do is that it's just like with the normal trick. You want to keep your fingers parallel to each other and you want to keep them aligned. And so if you are going to point this hand in this direction, you can see naturally it's a little bit toward the yo-yo side of my body compared to where my opposite hand is. And so you need to actually reach over and make sure that you're keeping that parallel structure and that lined up structure like you did before. And so you're going to twist your hand around and then move your other hand over to keep everything lined up. And that allows you to safely land the trick. Now when it comes to landing the yo-yo on the opposite side of your body, this one's a little bit more straightforward. So this one is going to start in a Mach 5 position. And as the yo-yo is going up into the second position of Poppin' Fresh, you're going to move it to the outside just a little bit. And then right as the yo-yo is about to land, you simply twist your opposite hand out. Again, make sure you keep everything aligned just like we showed you with the other one. And just like before, you're going to just reverse the motion and that'll get you back into your Mach 5 mount. Now, something that you might not notice at first is that the mount for this variation is actually not all that different than your regular second position Poppin' Fresh. So let me show you what I mean by that. Normally, you're going to go here. This mount is really literally just this. And so you can kind of pass back and forth in between each of them. And what that means is that you really need to sell this part of the trick. And so if you do it a little bit too casually, then it can end up looking like this, where it's not really on the outside. And you know, technically you are twisting your hand around, but the trick doesn't really look very good. And so the key to making this work is to make sure it really is on the outside of your arm. Sometimes what I'll do is I will actually bring the yo-yo a little bit lower. I'll bring my hands together a little bit more just to show that it's on the outside of my wrist, just like this. And then I'll bring it back. And really all that you're doing different besides moving your hand over, making sure to keep your alignment out, twisting your hand out, is right as the yo-yo is falling down out of the top mount into the bottom mount. As that's happening, you're just twisting your hand right out. And that's what allows you to catch the trick. And then when you reverse it, it's exactly the same. As soon as the yo-yo lifts up above your opposite hand and as it's going into the top mount, then you twist it back and you're kind of pulling the yo-yo back to center, and that will allow you to land it back into the Mach 5 position. So give that one a little bit of practice, and once you have it down, you can put it all together into this Poppin' Fresh combo. Usually what I like to do is I'll start with 3 regular Poppin' Fresh hops, just like this, then go to the outside on my yo-yo hand, outside on my opposite hand, and bring it back to center. And once you can do that, you have mastered Poppin' Fresh and the Poppin' Fresh combo.